Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News fans. Reality star Jenn Tran, fresh off her brutal breakup from her fiancé, Devin Strader, says Dancing with the Stars didn't exactly help her heal. "I'm gonna be real," she said after her elimination. "This is what I was afraid of. I was like, I'm distracting myself." Jenn's Bachelorette journey rocked fans when she was the first Bachelorette to propose, only for Devin to break up with her on the phone, even admitting he never actually loved her. To add insult to injury, Devin quickly followed her former friend Maria Gorgas on Instagram. Diogo Jota funeral, Liverpool and international players arrive. ABC swooped in, offering Jenn a spot on DWTS Season 33. She joined forces with Sasha Farber, creating a partnership that fans loved both on and off the dance floor. Jenn and Sasha managed to impress the judges, earning scores as high as 32-40, including their first perfect 10 on Halloween Nightmares Night. Despite the chemistry and memorable performances, Jenn and Sasha's journey ended sooner than fans hoped. Reflecting on her experience, Jenn said the competition was just a distraction rather than real healing. "I'm going to be real," she added. "I'm human and I'm processing." Still, she's grateful for the memories, saying, "I wanted to win, so I'm sad, obviously, but also very happy. I didn't even know that I could do the things that I've done. It just feels great to end with a bang." Jenn left DWTS proud of herself and hinted she's ready for the next chapter. "I'm a glass half full kind of girl," she said. For now, fans can follow her journey on social media.
To the dance floor spotlight, Jenn Tran reveals how her heartbreak followed her into the ballroom. The glitter isn't always gold. The spotlight hit her like a wave of warmth. Bright, relentless, demanding perfection. Jenn Tran stood in the center of the Dancing with the Stars stage, sequins shimmering under the lights, heart racing like it had the night she handed out her final rose. Except this wasn't a rose ceremony. This was a tango, a metaphorical war with her own body, soul, and the heartbreak still whispering his name. "Smile," her dance partner Mason had whispered in her ear just moments before the music cued. "This is your comeback." She had nodded. She wanted that so badly, for this to be her comeback. But the truth? She was still broken. And no glitter, no 8-count choreography, and no perfect 10s from the judges could erase him. The man behind the meltdown. His name was Elias Rivera, the Bachelorette frontrunner, fan favorite, and the man Jenn had fought her own instincts to fall for. He was quiet thunder, intelligent, soulful, layered. America had swooned for him the moment he read Jenn a poem under a rain-soaked umbrella in week 3. Jenn had swooned too, but when cameras stopped rolling and the fantasy faded, so did Elias. He ghosted therapy sessions, skipped media interviews, and worse, withdrew emotionally when Jenn needed him most. The final blow? He confessed during the After the Final Rose taping that he had reconnected with someone from back home before the finale even aired. Jenn hadn't seen it coming, not like that. Not when she'd risked her own reputation defending him against producers who warned her she was being too swept up. DWTS? A distraction or a rebound? "I thought DWTS would distract me," Jenn confessed months later, sitting in her trailer with tears threatening to ruin her winged eyeliner. Producers had approached her within weeks of the breakup, offering glitz, glam, and a shot at redefining herself outside the Bachelorette. The headlines practically wrote themselves. "Jenn Tran swaps roses for rumbas. Can heartbreak fuel her victory?" The audience was eager to see a comeback story, but Jenn wasn't sure she had the energy to fake one. "I feel like I was betraying what I was really feeling every time I put on a smile. It wasn't just heartbreak, it was public humiliation. I didn't just lose love, I lost the fantasy I sold to America." Behind the mirrors and tears. Rehearsals were grueling. Her body ached in places she didn't know existed. Blisters formed beneath rhinestone heels. She twisted ankles, bruised her hip, and cried more times in the studio bathroom than she cared to count. Mason, her partner, was kind but firm. He became her emotional crutch when cameras weren't rolling. He'd bring her hot coffee, text her Spotify playlists with confidence-boosting songs, and remind her, "This is your story now." But Mason also noticed things others didn't, like how she froze anytime the producers played slow ballads during dress rehearsals, like how she flinched when an audience member shouted Elias's name during Week 4's live show, like how she spiraled when gossip blogs published paparazzi photos of Elias with his new girlfriend, a model/actress with 2 million followers and a Chanel contract. The public still wanted Elias. Despite everything, the public hadn't turned on Elias. In fact, many were still Team Elias, saying Jenn led him on or wanted too much too fast. She broke his spirit, a popular Bachelor Reddit thread read. Jenn Tossi is her punishment. Jenn stopped reading the comments after week 5, but the pain didn't stop. It festered. She began to dread live nights, feeling like each spin or lift exposed how broken she really was inside. Even perfect scores couldn't quiet the voice in her head, the one that whispered, "He didn't choose you." When the dance floor cracked. It was week 6, Latin night. Jenn and Mason were performing the Paso Doble to Enemy by Imagine Dragons, a fierce, dramatic piece that required Jenn to channel anger and betrayal. During the dress rehearsal, she nailed it. Judges gave her a standing ovation. But when it came time to perform live, something broke. The music started, and so did the tears. Jenn missed her first step, then another. She ran off stage mid-performance, leaving Mason alone under the red lights, stunned and concerned. The show cut to commercial. Backstage, Jenn collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. "I can't do this," she whispered, hand shaking. "I thought I was okay. I'm not okay." Her moment of truth. The next morning, she sat down for an exclusive with People magazine. Her publicist had begged her not to. "Let the show handle this. They'll say you were sick or overwhelmed." But Jenn refused. She wanted to own her story, raw, messy, real. "I had an emotional breakdown because I've been pretending for too long," she told the reporter. "DWTS didn't heal me. It just buried the pain under sequins and scripts." The quote trended within hours. Fans were split, some applauding her honesty, others calling her dramatic. But Jenn felt freer than she had in months. The message that changed everything. A few days later, Mason forwarded her an anonymous message that had been sent to his fan account. It read, "Tell Jenn I know how much courage it takes to be vulnerable on national television. I messed up, but she didn't. E." Jenn stared at the message for hours. No apology, no explanations, just an acknowledgement. It wasn't enough. But somehow, it was exactly what she needed to close the chapter. A new kind of dance. Jenn returned for week 7. She walked onto the stage to thunderous applause. The judges hugged her, Mason squeezed her hand. This time, they danced to Brave by Sarah Bareilles. No lifts, no dramatics, just Jenn. Raw, healing, reclaiming her power. When the music ended, tears fell, not from pain, but relief. And for the first time in months, Jenn smiled, and meant it. After the glitter fades, Jenn didn't win Dancing with the Stars. She came in second. But to her, that was more than enough. Because Dancing with the Stars wasn't about a trophy, it was about survival. And more importantly, it was about rediscovering herself outside of the Bachelorette, outside of Elias, outside of what the world wanted her to be. She now co-hosts a podcast called Unfiltered Roses, where she interviews other reality stars about the real emotional toll of fame, fantasy, and love on screen. The final rose for herself. Months later, Jenn walked a red carpet alone, dressed in a sleek black gown, head held high. A reporter asked, "Do you have any regrets?" Jenn smiled gently. "No. Every misstep, every heartbreak, every dance led me here, and honestly, I wouldn't trade a single second." The cameras clicked. The lights flashed, and Jenn, no longer a bachelorette, no longer a ballroom contestant, was simply herself, braver, stronger, and finally truly healed. The podcast that sparked a movement,
Jenn didn't just want to heal privately, she wanted to make her pain useful, to create space for the conversations that Bachelor Nation often silenced. That's how Unfiltered Roses was born. I wanted a platform where reality stars could talk after the cameras stopped rolling, because nobody tells you how much damage this fairy tale can do to real people. She explained in her premiere episode. Her first guest was Michelle Young, who had her own share of public heartbreak. I watched your DWTS season, and I remember thinking, that's what it looks like when someone is trying to smile through wreckage. Michelle said, her voice soft but steady. Jenn's voice caught in her throat. It was the first time she felt seen. Their episode went viral, and not just among fans. Former contestants, producers, and therapists reposted clips, calling the podcast a revolution in reality TV accountability. Suddenly, Jenn wasn't just a contestant. She was a voice. When healing isn't linear, despite the growing success, healing didn't arrive in a straight line. There were days she still scrolled through Elias's Instagram, even though she told herself not to. He had rebranded, polished photos, mysterious captions, and a new podcast called The Right Kind of Real, which many speculated was a subtweet at Jenn's Unfiltered Roses. One episode featured his new girlfriend. Jenn couldn't stop herself from listening. I was pressured into a relationship I wasn't ready for, Elias said. Sometimes you say yes to things on TV that your real self isn't aligned with. Jenn paused the recording. There it was again. Blame, carefully wrapped in buzzwords, but blame nonetheless. She wanted to scream, to respond, to post a rebuttal. Instead, she poured herself a glass of wine, picked up her mic, and recorded an emergency episode titled, Did I Make Him a Villain or Did He Just Not Like the Mirror? It became her most streamed episode to date. The Unexpected Supporter. Jenn was surprised one evening to see a message request in her inbox from Tyler Cameron. Yes, that Tyler Cameron. Tyler C. Just wanted to say you're doing something brave. I watched Elias from the sidelines and you're not crazy. Keep going. Jenn stared at the message. Tyler had always been the poster child for Bachelor good guys teams, hot, charming, and usually apolitical. He didn't just send compliments. He validated her experience, and that meant everything. They grabbed coffee the next time they were both in New York. No romance, just real talk. Tyler told her that producers had once asked him to propose to someone he wasn't ready to marry, and when he said no, they cut his airtime and labeled him cold. That franchise takes your insecurities and turns them into entertainment. They did it to you. They did it to me. But you're finally calling it out. Jenn smiled, and you're brave enough to stand next to me while I do. That coffee date turned into a friendship that fans immediately speculated was more. But for Jenn, it was just another piece of her healing puzzle. Being believed by someone who'd lived it too. Confronting Elias. It was bound to happen.